I saw that coming minutes ago. I was just waiting for it. I'm gonna do this instead. Will this work on that? It's fine. Okay. Well, thanks for having us today, you guys. We want to first just thanks for the invitation to come. We love the opportunity to talk about our kids and ourselves a little bit. But that's okay. For those that don't know us or which one is which, I am Lana and Amy. I'm Jenny's daughter and Carol's niece, and I'm Claire's mom. So don't let your eyes fool you over here. This is not Jane Flynn. This is Jane Moreland, who is Jane's daughter and Cutler's mom.
And some of your favorite students, because I know some of you.
So Amy is the funnier one of us, but not as fond of public speaking. So I'm going to handle most
of that. And I'll do the jokes.
Also, we want to apologize for messing up your schedule today. I had a conflict at my sort of job, and I know that you all really like a good planned written schedule. So thank you for being flexible with us and letting us, come in after your business. Thanks. So we'll watch the clock a little bit. To start off, we thought it would be kind of fun to turn the tables on you guys just a little bit. It's not going to be painful, but it's not very often that former students get to school their teachers. So just humor us a little bit. We promise we'll try to bring it home in the end. It might not, but we'll see. It's time for pop quiz. Okay? You don't need to write anything down because did you know that they don't actually take tests on paper at all anymore? It's crazy. They don't do it. So you're not going to need any paper. Just keep it in your mind. Jot it down up there. Okay. First things first is we need a show of hands of any of you that have had either Amy or I in class or in your school. Good. Okay, perfect. Okay. Number 2, think about your favorite activity when you were in school. Whether it be a teacher or a student or your favorite thing to do at school.
Turn and talk to your neighbor. Tell them.
Tell them.
Music.
Art, lunch, recess.
And 3, 2, 1. All right, next, I want you to think about who your favorite teacher to learn from was. Who did you love to learn from as a teacher?
We're all dead.
The live ones. I had good elementary teachers and middle school teachers.
Is, I want you to think about your favorite, most memorable student that you had as a teacher or an educator with a disability to teach. I know you all have the disability. Right. So, this is a really cool opportunity for us. We obviously have strong ties to the Grand Forks public school system, as both Amy and I grew up here. We attended K through 12, obviously having some of you as our teachers. We went to different sides of the town for high school, River Rat, and our families are deep-seated in the education system here. Amy actually couldn't get enough of school as a student and went on to become a teacher and is currently teaching 3rd grade in her 13th year at the Amaretto school system. So you're probably, the big question right now then is how did she get here on a Tuesday at noon, right? So 2 words for you, student, teacher.
Student teacher.
Yes.
And really, who better to learn from?
Great teachers, great teachers. So, the other reason we're glad to be here today is that October is a perfect time for visiting with Amy and I, or for having us, come and talk to you. Because there was student teacher availability, was great, and also that October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, like we mentioned. It's a whole month that we devote to sharing and educating and celebrating the many ways that Down syndrome makes our lives more interesting. You might not know this, but Ronald Reagan actually signed the official proclamation that named October as Down Syndrome Awareness Month in 1984. So this is the 35th year of celebrating Down Syndrome Awareness Month. At that time though, the life expectancy of a baby born with Down syndrome was like 20, 25 maybe. Really scary. It was kind of a sentence. Institutional living was not uncommon. Parents were still encouraged to put their children in an institution or in a home, and they were just told it probably wouldn't amount to much. So while the added layer of attention was really good about bringing on a Down Syndrome Awareness Month, the underlying, the thought behind the whole thing was more about prevention of Down syndrome, which is really kind of sad. So it was, it was a historical moment. It was really exciting. What we're really happy is that that has shifted. It opened the door to advocacy. Thank goodness that's what happened. So if you fast forward now, 35 years to 2019, we're able to see a huge shift in the campaign. Due to advancements in medicine, better diagnostics, and just better overall understanding of Down syndrome and what that extra chromosome does to people. The life expectancy of someone with Down syndrome is now into the 60s, and it's climbing. It grows more and more every year. Medical providers are treating people instead of the syndrome, which if you don't have somebody in your life that has a disability or a condition like a chromosome abnormality, you wouldn't maybe know that often it's an excuse. It's, well, they have Down syndrome, so that's just how it is. Instead of looking at, okay, their gut doesn't work. What in the world is going on? Forget about the Down syndrome. Let's figure out what's going on. So that shift in medicine has made people live longer. We're able to keep our kids and adults with Down syndrome healthier. They're thriving longer. And that just means that there are more kids in our schools with Down syndrome. It means that there are more young adults with Down syndrome preparing for college. That's a thing that's happening all the time. And there's lots more adults who are working and contributing to their communities. That means that support services, education strategies, community advocacy, all has to be so much more robust to help these families and these amazing people who continue to defy the odds on the daily. Every day they're defying odds. It just helps them all be successful. That right there just gives us the chills. As parents of kiddos that have things going on, that makes us happy. The shift is real, and we're just so thankful. So, all of that, Down Syndrome Awareness Month, why is that important? That's where Clara and Cutler come in. So Clara came first. So we had this really cute slideshow with just all these pictures, and we thought it would just be really distracting for you, so you might not just listen as well, you just look at the cute pictures. So Linda, we didn't get a projector, but we'll come again with pictures. So anyway, Clara was born November of 2015 following a prenatal diagnosis. So I knew before she was born that she had a significant heart defect. This was likely due to the fact that she had Down syndrome. We knew that right away. We had definitive testing done while I was pregnant because we wanted to know exactly what we were dealing with and what we were going to be faced with when she came as much as we could. So for us, there was no shock factor. We had lots of time to prepare ourselves for her arrival. We did our research. We surrounded ourselves with others who had loved ones with Down syndrome. I made lots of calls those first few days to people that I knew. I'm like, oh, so-and-so had a kiddo with Down syndrome. I need to call them. So we did that. We spent a lot of time consuming ourselves with making sure she had a healthy delivery and that she was born in the best health that was possible for her. We had a really rough start, but by April of 2016, so she was 4 months old, her NICU days were behind her, and she had her heart fixed, and she was stable-ish. So that's when Amy came into the world, sort of.
Into your world.
Into my world.
Again. Lucky
So actually, Amy and I have known each other since, well, like before I was me. So in 1970s-ish, we've got two good-looking radio guys hanging out with their knockout girlfriends. There's a couple of weddings, there's a few kids, there's about 300 softball games later with these old guys, and we're acquaintances. So I know who Amy is, she knows me, we'd say hi, we'd smile at Target, whatever, but we weren't close, we weren't friends, we ran with different circles, and she was whatever.
And I'm older. Keep saying it, and I'm older.
But that all changed on April 15th of 2016. So a mutual friend and I were visiting. She came over to snuggle my cute little baby. And she mentioned that somebody that I knew had just had a baby boy with Down syndrome. Oh, she was pretty sure. She mostly sure. Like,
Kind of.
it was probably he maybe had Down syndrome. I'm like, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. I can't just call someone and say, hey, I heard you had a kid with Down syndrome. Did you? You just don't do that. So I pulled her up on Facebook, and at this point I'm not recognizing the name, but I saw the picture and I said, well, that's Amy Moreland. I know Amy. I said, well, maybe I can call her. Maybe I can see. So I creeped her pictures and I see this gorgeous little baby.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say gorgeous lady.
She had aged a bit. But it wasn't clear cut to me. His picture did not, I didn't go, whoa, he's got that extra chromosome. But I thought about it for a little while and I thought, you know what, I would want someone to reach out to me. I had done my research. I had reached out to people because I knew, and I would want her to do the same with me. So I sent her a friend request. We weren't even Facebook friends. And a note. And that note read exactly like this. We found it as we were preparing for this. She's like, do you think you still have that message? And I'm like, yep, I'm sure I do. So we found it. So this was my message. Very North Dakota message. Hi, Amy. I hope this isn't presumptuous, but please accept my apologies if I have the wrong information. I heard that your little peanut is also blessed with an extra chromosome like my Clara. I try to connect with other families on the same playing field, and if this is true, our kiddos are just a couple of months apart. It would be fun to connect in some way. If you're interested, hope all is good with your crew. Very careful, and I clicked send. She replied very quickly.
It was like I was waiting for it.
It was like she was waiting for it with, I wanted to ask you too, but I didn't want to overstep. Yes, my Cutler also has extra special chromosome, and he is 7 weeks old today. I was thinking it might be fun to get together, meet other people who understand and can relate. Also, Claire and Cutler would be a really cute couple. So that's where Cutler came in the picture.
Okay. And I'm already, anyone who knows me, I'm not super emotional. I'm very sarcastic and funny, and I already got tears, so I'm sorry already. All right, let's just, okay. So I discovered that I was pregnant in the summer of 2015, which would make me 41. Or as Altru so delicately worded it on all of my paperwork, a geriatric pregnancy. Let that sink in.
Geriatric
Pregnancy. I believe now they have since changed it to advanced maternal age or something. Way better. Go Altru. Anyway, so I was a little bit older, but I was excited, and I thought pregnancy was easy because my first pregnancy was. Wyatt was only decided to stay with me for 7 months before he came out, so it was super easy. But yeah, so this time I was high risk, obviously, because Wyatt was so early and I was older. And they also, they offered you the testing, and I said, no, I don't want to do it. What difference would it make anyway? I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't, unless it was something real bad and life-threatening. So I chose no testing. I had many ultrasounds and stress tests and shots and all kinds of things done just because it was such a high-risk pregnancy, and nothing. There were no markers. None of the ultrasounds gave us any, they call them markers for maybe the child having Down syndrome. The only thing they said after I had Cutler was, well, his legs measured short. And Jane too, that wasn't a worry. I thought to myself, yep, it's fine. So, but nothing I was worried about. I was induced on February 26, 2016, and Cutler James Thompson came into this world at approximately 11:26 p.m. And I knew, as soon as he came out, before I saw him, it was very quiet, and I knew, and I've said this before, and I don't say it for effect, I knew that I felt that there was something. And as soon as they kind of brought him into my view and they started to kind of do all the little tests they do, and I saw his face, I knew my baby has Down syndrome. And right away came the what ifs and the whys and the what are we gonna do? And am I ready for this? And can I do this? And what have I done? And they're awful things to think when you just have a baby. And I feel awful about thinking those things, but I think it's a pretty common thing when you have this happen, when you have a delivery diagnosis, when you don't know. And then came the overwhelming fear of the unknown. And I was scared. And I'm gonna say it, I was depressed. I felt alone and scared and isolated because I thought I'm the only person in this world going through this, which is not true, and I know that now. But then on April 15th came the message, and that was the turning point. That's when came the healing, the extended family, and the realization that we were gonna be okay. and actually better than okay, we were gonna be amazing. And it has been amazing, and I'm crying. But now, that is not to say that everything has been roses and rainbows, because kids are tricky, we all know that. Our profession, a lot of us are moms and dads, kids are tricky. And then throw in an extra chromosome, and our kiddos tend to be a little more tricky. Cutler has also had his share of health issues, not as many as my future daughter-in-law. We've dealt with, heart issues and echocardiograms, and we've dealt with simple colds becoming hospital stays, and RSV and pneumonia that resulted in being roomies in the PICU at Sanford and Fargo for a month, literally next door to each other.
They just opened the door because they're like, well, we're not keeping them out of each other's rooms.
Yeah, so we were suite mates in the hospital. So if you're gonna do the hospital, we've had ambulance rides and we've had airlifts to Minneapolis. We've had 2 sleep studies. Oh, I don't know if any of you have had any of those. Don't get one. Don't get one. We've had sleep apnea. We've had our tonsils and our adenoids removed. We've had oxygen tanks at home. And we've had something called infantile spasms, which I usually do not talk about. But it's a rare seizure disorder. If you Google it, don't Google it. But it can cause, if it's not caught really early and right away, it can cause all kinds of regression and brain damage, and the outlook is not usually very good. So we've been on high doses of steroids. Lana was my daycare when he was, maybe you've seen the pictures of his big fat face. That was not natural. That was roid rage. But we've come through it all, and our kids are fighters, and they're strong, and we'll tackle anything that comes our way. But Claire and Cutler have changed my whole world, and if I could go back and kind of smack my just having the baby, having all those don't self-rate in the face and say, it's gonna be amazing, just get through this part, I would. Because I feel kind of lucky, and I feel blessed, and I feel like I'm in a secret club that not a lot of people are in. So, that's, I'm in a good club, it's a good club, thanks.
Okay, so that's how we got ourselves together. So we had this coffee date shortly after the messages, and there was an instant electric connection between the babies. Like, we hit it off right away. Our personalities
not?
hustling.
Look at us.
So, but the babies were just like magnets. We laid them on a blanket in Starbucks at the UND bookstore, and they just like rolled to each other, and Claire is a little handsy, so it was, she was all over him, and
Claire's a lot handsy.
So they started to hang out together and be together, and we started getting really cute pictures and really having a lot of fun with them. They started coming for play dates at our house and we to theirs. And then towards fall, Amy was needing to go back to school, and I said, well, I'm staying home, so you might as well bring him here. So we enjoyed having them together for that year. And things just kind of blossomed from there. Claire and Cutler started soon after that. So you probably hear when people say that individuals with Down syndrome are so loving. Okay, this is the first thing that we kind of talked about, as we got together is, they're so loving, they're just amazing all the time. So we're firm believers that that's 100% true. We are not unrealistic though. We're not so head in the, clouds naive that we think that just because a person with Down syndrome that they're always gonna be happy or smiley or handing out hugs. That's not true. People with Down syndrome experience the full range of emotions. They get mad, they feel sad, they get irritated, they're tired, they're excited, they're frustrated, they're blah. That just like you and me, just like anybody. But at just 3 and 4 years old, almost 4, Claire and Cutler are better at living than anybody we know. Seriously, they live in a way that is totally unfiltered, completely unfazed, and just absolutely pure. They see beauty and joy in all the things. They light up when they see the people that they love, who is most people. They're world-class huggers. Kissing is a work in progress, a lot. They know who loves them. They know who's gonna be there to celebrate all of those things with them. If you're not already on that list, or if you haven't actually met them, don't worry. Clara will immediately add you to her short list. Cutler will follow sometime. feels uncomfortable, but you'll get there. Both kids also know who to cry with. They know who to look for comfort. They're very quick to forgive and forget. And even when their body is fighting with itself, which theirs tend to do, they blow a kiss and offer a fist bump to anybody that will catch it. They will not let you forget that you love them and that they love you. We knew really early on that the kids had a little something extra to offer the world. As their family, their parents and their siblings, we reaped the rewards of their giant personalities from the start. So we were the lucky ones. We became a part of a huge community of people who live and love people with Down syndrome. We made new friends, we enjoyed new connections, reconnections. We built a support system that is literally second to none. It is a club. So we shared pictures and updates with friends and family regularly, all with a great, very supportive responses, mostly, oh my gosh, it was so cute. But when we started to share Clara and Cutler's friendship more widely through social media, that's when it became clear really quickly that their something extra was something really extra special. So if you're not familiar, if you're not on Facebook or Instagram, we're not gonna ask you for a show of hands, but if you're not, Clara and Cutler are kind of mini media stars. There's no other way to say it. So they share daily quips of their amazing lives, some about their health, some about boring everyday stuff, some just silly things that happen. Every day. They do so through love letters back and forth. Dear Cutler, dear Clara, dear mom, dear dad. But today, only today, and don't tell anybody, we're gonna let you in on the secret that they don't actually write their own stuff. They know the material, but they don't write it. So, Clara and Cutler as a page. So we start referring to that as a page as Clara and Cutler. It's become a powerful outlet for sharing, for educating, and for advocating for the pair, and really for all individuals living with different abilities. They have been received globally with open arms, and I mean literally globally. Daily, we hear things like, "Thank you so much for brightening my day." That's really common. Or, "I was having the worst week until you two popped up in my feed." We love that. And our very favorite is always, "Thank you so much for sharing your babies with us. I love them." I love them. Like, this is a stranger, a complete stranger, probably a bazillion miles away from here, loves our babies. So in a world that's filled with bad news and mean people and folks that just plain have forgotten how to be nice, these sweet kids are spreading sunshine on every corner of the planet, just by being themselves. So they thank everybody for their support with their smiles, and they humble people with their resilience and their strength, and they remind us that no matter what, just do love, just do life. Whether they can say those words or not, that's how they live, and they are our favorite teachers. So this is probably why Clara and Cutler have been so well received around the world, is that we've tried to stay very true to our initial goal. Our initial goal is really all we wanted was for people to know our kids, okay? I want, really know our kids. So think back to question 5, or was it 4, whatever, that last question about who your favorite student was, think about that. That's what we're talking about. We want our kids to be that kid, okay? So we want so many people to know them, that when they're out and about, it's never a question of if they will be spoken to, if they will be addressed, if they will be acknowledged, or if they'll be asked to a play date or a birthday party. We want it to be which invitation they're gonna get to accept, okay? So we did this thinking we'd probably have a few, maybe 100 people, individuals in our family, our moms, and our friends looking at our kids and kind of paying attention to them. What we didn't expect was that the world would embrace them, and we are now just over 13,000 followers on their Facebook page. So when we have that many people, and then we have, tens of, 20s of, hundreds of people sharing their stuff all the time, there are just thousands and thousands of people knowing our children. So where they go, people know them, and people say, "Oh, and we love it.
Nobody knows us.
Nobody knows us. There's moms.
We do it. We read it.
Yeah. So we want them to grow up in a community and thrive in a community that loves them, that looks out for them, that supports them every step of the way. And we think that we are making that happen. The other thing we've chosen to do, and I think it's why people really like him, is that we've chosen to share our kids in a way that is really positive. So my dad was Jim. You all knew Jim. He was pretty much the world's greatest optimist, and I got a little bit of that from him. And so I pretty much think that things are great. So we thought it was pretty obvious to do a very positive spin. There's a really kind of ugly culture out there that's full of negativity and Debbie Downers and people that want to perseverate all this yucky stuff and share the annoying stories about their kids instead of celebrating the things that they're doing. And it's just not doing any good. It's doing a lot more harm than being helpful when it comes to making a better world for our kids. So we weren't all about that. Does Clara throw sweet potatoes at me now that she's learning how to eat? Yeah, I for sure changed clothes this morning before I left. And does Cutler lose his mind when he's too tired out in an event?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, back to them, they're kids, because that's what happens when you have kids. So pretty much what you see is what you get with Clara and Cutler and the information that we share. It's not always great news, we know that. Both kids have dealt with way more than their fair share of health issues, like way more. Often when we are asked to present or speak to a group, it's for like a Children's Miracle Network or a Sanford Health or something like that, and they're kind of like slide under the table invitation is to really pull the heartstrings, talk about all the medical, talk about the whatevers. We're gonna leave that off today because we talk about it enough, but they literally have been dealt the like crappiest deck of cards that you could ever be dealt, I think, and we just don't choose to focus on that. We choose to focus on the fact that there is good in with that bad, and that the support network that's praying for us and sending us positive vibes and positive light when those things are going on is what's getting us through. It's impossible for us to describe how the blanket of prayers and good vibes is helping us to tackle all this tough stuff. So while we want to educate you and want you to know, we're also thriving on you. We're also loving the fact that you're loving our kids and loving our family, because it's getting us through some of the things that we just shouldn't have to do with your kids. So the popularity with Clara and Cutler continues to grow and has let some really neat opportunities happen for us, like really fun stuff. So like I said, we've been asked to share their story at a lot of places. I gave a sermon at my church. What? So
I did.
It was really neat. Amy didn't do that, but it's fine. We've been on TV.
I'm not a speaker.
We've been on the radio, we've been in print, we've been in the newspaper several times, we've been guest hosts and presenters at different events like pageants, and we've been celebrity guests for media events. That's really neat. The kids are ambassadors for several different Down syndrome advocacy groups, and they are really proud of their work for the Children's Miracle Network. So they've also done some really stinking cute modeling gigs for Kitsona and Carter's and Oshkosh and lots of little boutique brands that like to send us free stuff.
And Linda, hopefully Old Navy coming up, talk to Jen.
Old Navy.
Talk to Jen.
And then I walked in and he goes, there's a fashion show. I think they need toppers.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. All right, okay. So anyway, it's kind of like somebody pinch us. Like you're faced with this diagnosis and you have these kids. Is she laughing at us?
She's gonna do it for sure.
Okay.
She's on the phone right now.
All right. So you have these kiddos and they have differences and you don't know what those differences are going to mean to your family. And then all of a sudden your kids are models. Your kids are in the newspaper. Your kids are on TV. Like somebody pinch us, really. It's kind of how we feel most of the time. So what's next for Clara and Cutler? Well, as busy toddlers, they are busy. Clara is about to celebrate her 4th birthday. I really wish you could see her in the next couple weeks, because what she says over and over, like all the time, is, I'm 3.
Oh,
Still 3. But then now we've added almost 4. Okay, so she's still stinking cute, but so she's having a birthday coming up, and she's inviting all of her friends and family over to her sweet shop because she has just record-breaking graduated the feeding clinic down in Fargo. She hasn't eaten in 4 years. That's her whole life. And she made it through the program in 4 days. So she is now eating, and she's gonna get to eat her birthday cake, which was our goal. So that's coming up. It'll be gluten-free and dairy-free, of course.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Probably.
Yep. She's loving preschool. She goes 4 days a week to Discovery in the early childhood special education preschool and loves it. She squealed when she got to go back today because she was gone last week for the clinic. So she goes with her nurse and they have a ball. So Cutler also killing it at preschool.
Playing with kids, which is huge because he can be kind of bubbly and shy.
The bubble.
And lately, he happens to have a pair that sends me pictures a lot during the day. I'm working, but sometimes I will between working. And he's playing alongside other kids. Like he's coming. Yep, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and it's awesome. And they still, both of them, while they're not together for school or daycare anymore, they do rendezvous weekly at therapy and continue to crush their goals there like a champ every Wednesday morning. So tomorrow, therapy day, picture day. Also known as
maybe
picture day. Yes, so we're continually working towards putting the Claire and Cutler following and our partnership to good use, whether it's through things like this, sharing our kids, going out to the schools, being a part of the organizations that are doing great things for the people in Grand Forks and around the area that have different abilities. For now, we're looking at planting some money trees because we've got some really great big ideas that we just need, a tree for to grow some cash before we can do that. But we really have a goal of looking at building some opportunities for the kids in our community when we're not chasing toddlers as they're getting older and we can do some things and free up some time. We want to create some opportunities here in Grand Forks that our kids and their friends with different abilities can benefit from. So if you hear about Camp Claire and Cutler, you're the first. That's coming. It's in the budding stages, but we're really looking forward to seeing what we can make happen with that. So for now, we are going to continue to share their sunshine, and we'll continue to lean on each other and all of you for support, and spend most of our time counting our blessings.